Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and keep this video. I like her. Let's go start now. Christopher Clarey on his new Rafael Nadal book, and who to keep an eye on at the 2025 French Open. As a sports writer, Christopher Clarey covered more than 100 Grand Slam tennis tournaments and 15 Olympics for the New York Times and the International Herald Tribune, besides authoring the acclaimed 2021 book The Master, The Long Run and Beautiful Game of Roger Federer. His latest book, The Warrior, Rafael Nadal and His Kingdom of Clay, is the definitive volume on the definitive clay court player of all time. As Clarey is quick to point out, however, Nadal also won 8 other Grand Slam tournaments on other surfaces, along with an Olympic gold medal and virtually every other accolade the sport of tennis has to offer. We chatted with Clarey recently about his revelatory study and asked him to spotlight a handful of players on both the men's and women's side to keep a close eye on as the French Open kicks off on Sunday. Vogue. Early in your book, you offhandedly refer to your process of putting it together as method writing. It's built from this series of 20 chapters, which are focused on everything from Nadal's biography and development to, say, beautiful excursions into the history of clay courts in Europe and the earlier champions of the French Open. We also get a technical explanation of why Nadal's strokes made him so formidable. It's absolute catnip, but how did you decide to do the book like this? Christopher Clarey. I wrote a book about Federer called The Master, which came out in 2021. And while that was not written exactly chronologically, it was very much his story, with his rivals and his personal biography. When I thought about writing about Nadal, like Federer, I had covered him from his early years on the tour. I didn't want to plow the same field creatively. And somehow the number 14, once Nadal hit it, Nadal holds an almost unbelievable 14 French Open singles titles. I said to myself, that's going to be a number that anybody who cares about tennis is going to hold within them for a long time. I've often thought about writing a book about Roland Garros. My wife is French, my kids are French-American. I lived there many years, still have a pied-à-terre there, and I just feel so connected to that tournament, and I wanted to find a way to tell that story. And I think putting the two together, they changed each other. Rafa changed Roland Garros, both materially and symbolically. You have the statue of him right there by the entrance now. And he changed the perception of what's possible there, and on clay. And Roland Garros changed Rafa. It allowed him to maximize his potential in many ways. It was, in many ways, the perfect storm and the perfect fit. I remember walking into Roland Garros and being just blown away by that statue. A statue of a Spaniard in a prominent place at the French Open. It seemed crazy to me, but at the same time, who else could it be? But as you write and report in this book, Nadal wasn't always the beloved son there, was he? He was not, and you're right to put that on the table. There's a chapter in the book called The Backlash that gets into this. When Rafa first arrived in Paris, he was a kind of novelty effect, a teenage prodigy, and the people loved it. But when they realized this was going to become something they could basically write down ahead of time, they lost their joy in the narrative. And when Rafa lost his first match at Roland Garros against Robin Soderling in 2009, it was quite a hostile environment. The crowd wasn't just cheering for Soderling and the upset. They were really cheering against Rafa. But in the end, Rafa just became inevitable, something like a natural phenomenon. At Roland Garros, he became part of the place. I think the French ultimately realized it was futile to resist and came to really admire his persistence, his method, his inherent dignity, and how much he valued their tournament and how much it mattered to him to win it. And what he was doing was, let's face it, extraordinary, one of the greatest achievements in sports ever. In the end, it was a pretty full embrace, as anybody who watched the Olympic opening ceremony last year could attest, when he received the honor, again, as a Spaniard, of being passed the Olympic torch from Zinedine Zidane. the ultimate French sports hero, at a critical moment of the opening ceremony. I understand they're honoring him at Roland Garros on Sunday.